Welcome to the Learn to Sew Academy channel. Please remember to subscribe. Thank you.
Welcome to a new video. Today I'm going to be making a Maxi skater dress. So what I'm doing here is I folded this into two. And when we fold, we always make sure that what we have folded here is big enough for the fullest part of the upper body. And right here, the upper body measurement we're looking at is the bust measurement. And we're using a bust of 42 inches in this project. So I want to make sure that when we fold this, we have enough for whatever we're going to get when we do 42 divided by 4. So we're dividing this by 4 because you always go around your body to take the measurement of the bust area. And when we fold this into two, this 2 is for the front, and we're going to have another 2 for the back. That's why you divide by 4. So 42 divided by 4 is going to give us 10.5. And you're going to factor in whatever seam allowance you're going to be using. In this case, we're going to have a princess cut. So you want to factor in the allowance you need to join those pieces back together, as well as your seam allowance. So right here, I have almost 13.5. I'm just going to leave this like that. Another thing I'm going to be doing is for the skater dress, we're going to have the upper bodice, and then we're going to have the circular skirt part of the dress. So we're going to be joining the upper body to a circle skirt, so to speak. So the upper body measurement is going to be from the shoulder to the half length. So right here, I'm going to cut that out. So the half length that I need here is 18 inches, and I'm going to add my allowance for the bottom and allowance for the top here. I'm going to be joining the bottom to the circular part of the skirt, and we're going to be joining it at the shoulder. So altogether for that, I'm going to be doing 0.75, and I'm just going to do 1.5 extra inches for that. So now I have what I need for the upper part of the dress. So what I'm going to start with now is the shoulder measurement. I'm using a shoulder of 16 inches, and you divide that by 2. That gives you 8 inches. And I'm just going to add my allowance. You can do anywhere from half to 1 inch. And then I'm going to come down here by 9 inches, and I'm going to add half an inch for the joining at the upper part. I actually left 0.75, so I'll add that 0.75 back for the joining at the upper part. So this is where I'm going to start to measure for the bust. So the bust I have here is going to be 10.5. Again, that's 42 divided by 4. It gives me 10.5. But now I'm going to be adding my seam allowance for joining the princess cut part together. So I'm just going to do 1.5 for that right there. And then I'm also going to do an extra 1 inch. Anywhere from half an inch to 1.5 inches will be a good choice. So I'm just gonna end it right here. So from right here is what I'm going to connect to my shoulder area. I just want to do a cuff from over there down to where you have your shoulder, or you can also use your cuff ruler as usual, as always. And then at the bottom here, I'm going to be using a waist measurement of 40 inches. So when we divide 40 by 4, again, we always measure the circumference of the waist as well. So we're going to divide that by 4. So that gives us 10. And then we're going to be cutting it for the princess cut. And we're going to be rejoining that. I'm going to leave 1.5 for that. And then I'm going to have a seam allowance. So you're going to leave whatever you decide for your seam allowance. So I'm going to now connect from here up here to the bust line. Now the next thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to do a neckline. And for the neckline, we're just going to make it a round neck. So I'm going to do a 4 by 5. And you just want to connect that. And you can again use your curve ruler to help you to form your curves as well. And then over here, you have to put a shoulder slant. So you can do anything from half to 1 inch. It depends totally on you. And you're just going to slant it from where you have your neckline down to where your shoulder ends. And then for the princess cut I'm going to be doing, now there are 1 or 2 things you can do. You can decide to do the princess cut style that I did when I did the last video, where you actually cut off some part of this, like some extra part of this, so that you have more snugness at the bottom here. You can see my last video on the princess cut blouse that explains that, and you can just do that exact thing and then make it into a dress. But in this case, I'm just doing the straight princess cut like the one I did in a prior video where I just did the princess cut dress. I'm gonna take the nipple to nipple measurement. That is also the same thing as the apex, and you can also call that the bust span. So I'm using 8.5 inches here, so that will give me 4.25. And then I'm going to add by additional, because I'm going to be rejoining this. So you're going to add whatever allowance you want to put. If you are putting half inch for your sewing allowance, then your 4.25 will become 4.75 if you're doing half inch. If you're doing 0.75, for instance, your 4.25 will become 5 inches. Whatever your allowance is, that is what you're going to add to that area of your nipple to nipple. And remember, when you were doing the bust measurement, we already factored that in when we measured this bust measurement. So whatever you factored in is what you're going to be using over here. So here we're going to do 4.25 plus whatever allowance you want to put. And that is what we're marking all the way to the bottom here. So I'm gonna join those lines. Now what you want to do here is you want to measure what your armhole is over here, and then you want to take the midpoint of that, which is right here for me. So there are 1 or 2 things you can do. You can either just come and connect it right over here, or depending on what you want to do, you can decide to come up by 1 inch. Is entirely up to you. So I'm just going to go ahead and we're just going to connect that. So you can either do it that way, or you can decide that you want to come up a little more. So again, it's entirely up to you. If you decide to come up a little more, you just come up a little more and you just connect it from over there. So this is like 1 inch up. So it's entirely left to you what you decide to do. And so once that is drafted, you can now cut your fabric. The next thing we're going to do is to cut the back. For the back, I've cut this out. This is 2 pieces, and I've cut the length of the half length that I need for this project. So whatever your half length is, which is the same length you cut for the front, that's what you're going to cut for the back. But you need the 2 pieces. As you do this, you also want to put into consideration your bust measurement, because you want this to be enough for your bust and whatever allowances you're going to be doing. So as you fold, you want to make sure you have enough. What I'm going to do now is to mark the zipper point. So I'm going to do 1.5 for the zipper. I'm just going to mark that here, and I'm just going to join those lines just to show the zipper mark. So now this mark is where we're going to start to measure for the bust, and any other measurement we're going to be doing is going to be from this mark, because right there is where the zipper is going in. So I'm gonna start as usual with the shoulder measurement. Also, you can put this there just like that, but when you align it to where you have your zipper mark. So we can do this as well. You just put this on top of that, and that can help guide you for what you need. But because we're not doing a princess cut at the back, I'm not going to be using this. If we were doing the princess cut at the back, you can just cut the same thing that you have in the front, and that'll be okay. But at the back, I'm not going to do a princess cut. I'll just do a regular dart at the back. But we can still use this to see where we'll start cutting depending on what you want. But I'm going to do the same thing for the front and the back here. I'll do the same neckline. So you can just do that. So that's one thing you can do. Another thing you can do is just to quickly do the measurement again and to just go by the measurement. Doing the measurement, you're going to start from the line and you're just going to measure your 8.5, your shoulder plus whatever you want. And then you're going to do the same neckline like we did here. So what I'm going to be doing now is I'm going to go down by that 9 inches plus whatever allowance I factored in for the joining at the shoulder. We're going to put that, and then I'm going to measure the bust right here. And the bust is 10.5, and I'm going to add whatever allowance I need to add. Now it's just going to be the sewing allowance for the side, because I'm not going to be cutting this as a princess cut. So we're just going to do the side sewing allowance. So we have 10.5. So depending on how much you want to leave for that, and then you connect that to you connect it to where you have the bust line, and connect that all the way to the shoulder. And then over here at the waist, you want to do the waist, which is 40 divided by 4 will give you 10. And then we're going to have a dart over here, half on both sides. That's additional 1 inch. That brings you to 11. And then you're going to put in your seam allowance, whatever you want the seam allowance to be. We're going to add that. And we're just going to join that. So now we're just going to go ahead and we're just going to cut this out. So we're going to go from that zipper mark, and we're going to just mark the dart. We're going to be using a dart of 4 inches plus whatever allowance you put there. So you want to mark that dart, and that is so that by the time you finish sewing, by the time you hold it like this and you sew on both sides, you're going to end up with 4 inches from the center. So the next thing we're going to do is to do the bottom of the dress. So when I fold this now, I'm trying to make sure I have enough over here that will be sufficient for the waist. At the same time, I'm going to measure from that point that I've determined to use for the waist. I'm going to measure it all the way to the bottom so that I make sure I have enough length that I need. So what I need here is going to be my full length less the half length that we did already. The half length was 18 inches, which is the upper bodice that we already cut. So when we do 55 inches, which is the full length, minus 18 inches, we're going to be left with 37 inches. And I'm just going to add additional allowances, 1 inch at the bottom, and I'm going to do half an inch at the top, or I can do 1.5 at the bottom, whatever you want to do. So altogether, I'll just add 1.5 additional inch to that. That'll bring me to 38.5 in total. The first thing I want to do after you have folded it into the cone shape, what you want to do next is you want to now look for a point here that's gonna be 1/4 of your waist. The waist is 40, divide by 4, I have 10. So what I have here is about 12 inches. I'm gonna go with this. So you can either draw it straight, but I like to curve it. So you can curve it right there. And then from that point, I'll start to measure all the way down to my 38.5 inches. And that is just what we're doing. We're going from that line that we marked right here. We're going to now connect them. And that is what we're now going to cut. And then we're going to follow that cone shape, the triangular shape. We're going to cut the back. And what we're going to do with the back is we're going to fold it the same way. The only difference is we're going to have a zipper allowance at the back. So the back is going to be open so that we can put a zipper in. So this is what I've done here. So I have some space left over here for the zipper allowance. So I'm going to open this up. So this is the front part that I've placed on top of the back. And I've used this to cut the back. So we're going to open up the back since we need 2 pieces at the back. So now I'm opening the back up into 2. Next we're going to work on the sleeve, and the sleeve is going to be a simple sleeve. First I'm going to measure the sleeve. I'm going to measure the armhole. I have approximately 11 inches. So when I fold this, I want to make sure that I'm going to conveniently have that 11 inches. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to measure the length of the sleeve that I need. For this sleeve, I need 16 inches length. So I'm going to now add my allowance at the bottom and at the top. So I'm going to do 1.5 inches extra for the allowance. So that gives me 17.5. For my sleeve round, I need 12 inches. And I'm going to factor in my allowance for that too. So for the sleeve round, you're going to divide that by 2. So 12 divided by 2 will give us 6. And then I'm going to add an allowance. So it depends on what you want to do for the allowance. You can do between half to 1 inch for your allowance. So what I'm going to do now is for this top right here where I've marked the length of the sleeve, I now want to roughly see where my 12 inches, my 11 inches end, because I have 11 inches for that right there. So my 11 ends around here. So I'm just going to curve that roughly. I'm doing this freehand, but I have a more detailed tutorial on how to do sleeves if you want to see that. What I'm doing now is I'm just going to join that point all the way to where I have my sleeve round. And then we just cut that. So I'm just going to place this on another fold, and then I'll be done with the sleeves. So I just leave a notch right in the middle, and that completes the cutting of this dress. If you want to do a lining on this dress, you'll just place this on the lining and cut exactly the same thing for the front, the back. You don't need the lining for the sleeve if you were going to do a lining. And over here you can do a lining, but you don't make it as long. It doesn't have to be as long as the skirt. You can just do it to like midpoint, maybe to the nail length area, or maybe a little above the nail length. And you can use this again as your template to cut your lining so that it's free. So this concludes the cutting of this Maxi skater dress. So please do leave this video a thumbs up if you have found this helpful, And please don't forget to subscribe if you are yet to subscribe to this channel. Thanks again. I hope to see you in my next video. Bye. I do hope this video has been very helpful to you. Please be sure to leave this video a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please remember to subscribe to this channel and click the bell for notifications. Thank you so much. Hope to see you in the next video. Bye.